I want you to picture a scenario. I think every single person listening has been here.
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this.
It's 2 in the morning. The house is completely quiet. You're just staring at the ceiling, can't sleep, and your brain just decides to hit you with, like, the heaviest question possible.
Why am I the way that I am?
Exactly. The 2 a.m. ceiling stare. It's universal.
It really is.
And you just start spiraling,
Right.
right? You think, is it because my parents were a certain way? Is it where I grew up? My genetics? The ultimate cage match.
Yeah.
Nature versus nurture.
And that debate, it stays so philosophical. It feels, abstract, like something you'd talk about in a dorm room.
Totally.
But today, we're going to try and ground it. We're taking that exact question and applying some real structure to it.
Right. We're digging into a lecture series on the psychology of personal effectiveness, and specifically a chapter by Dr. Michael J. Elisa called Making Positive Choices.
And our mission for this deep dive is, well, it's very specific. We are not here to solve the grand metaphysical debate of free will.
Yeah, thank you.
We want to figure out the mechanics, the actual sort of engineering of how we make choices and how those choices end up building the person we become.
Exactly. We're moving from the philosophy of choice to the architecture of choice.
I like that. Mm.
I do have to ask, though, before we get into all the science, do you think we chose to record this, or did the universe just kind of conspire to put us here?
I'm going to claim full responsibility on this one. I think we chose it. But maybe ask me again in 20 minutes.
It's a deal.
Mm.
So Dr. Leisha, he starts by laying out the battlefield, really.
Yeah.
And it is a battlefield between two very extreme ideas in psychology.
Right. So in one corner, you've got the heavyweights of determinism.
Which to me always sounds a little bleak.
It can definitely be read that way. I mean, strict determinism is the theory that everything you do is caused entirely by forces outside of your control.
So genetics, your childhood.
Your childhood, your environment, all of it. If you take that view to its logical end, you're basically a puppet. Your strings were pulled years ago, and what you're doing right now is just the inevitable result.
So if I'm late for a meeting, it's not really my fault. It's because, I don't know, my parents didn't teach me punctuality.
In a strictly deterministic world, yes. It completely removes your agency. It's all cause and effect, and you are just the effect.
Yeah, okay.
But then, of course, you have the other corner. You have free will.
The I am the captain of my soul camp.
Exactly. And in its extreme form, that argument says we are totally independent agents. We can just ignore our biology, ignore our past, and simply choose to be different. In a vacuum.
But both of those feel incomplete. I know my past affects me. I'm not a robot, but I also refuse to believe I'm just a leaf in the wind.
And you've just hit on exactly why modern positive psychology has sort of moved beyond those extremes.
They just don't work in the real world.
They don't, and Dr. Elisa introduces the concept that bridges this gap. It's called soft determinism.
Soft determinism. It sounds a bit like a political compromise. I'm neither for nor against.
It's not a cop-out, though. It's a realistic synthesis. Soft determinism acknowledges the science. It says, yes, we are heavily influenced by our biology, by our environment.
Right. Those things set the stage. They deal you your hand of cards.
They deal the hand. You can't change the hand you were dealt, but you get to play it.
We play the hand.
We retain the power to choose how we respond to all those influences. Dr. Elisha has this great summary. He says, what happens to us matters, but what matters even more is how we respond to what happens to us.
That reminds me so much of that Ruth Chang video that's referenced in the source.
Yeah.
About how hard choices are actually opportunities to define who you are.
Yes, that's her whole point. Hard choices aren't burdens. They're these moments of self-creation. And under self-determinism, your response isn't just a reaction. It's you, building your own identity in real time.
Okay, so we've got the philosophy. Soft determinism. We accept the influence, but we claim the power to respond. But here's my issue. How do we actually do that? Because in the moment, when I'm stressed or angry, I'm not thinking about self-creation. I'm just thinking about yelling.
And that brings us right to the first major pillar of this architecture. It's a concept called proactivity.
Okay, now proactive. That feels like a word I hear in every corporate meeting
It's
ever.
just total buzzword bingo, I agree.
It just means work faster.
Right. In business, maybe? But in psychology, it has a much, much deeper definition. It's not just about, taking initiative. Proactivity here is defined as the ability to subordinate your impulses to your values.
Subordinate impulses to values. Wow. Okay, unpack that for me.
All right, so the opposite of proactive is reactive. A reactive person is like a thermometer. They just reflect the temperature of the room.
If it's bad weather, they're in a bad mood.
Exactly. If someone is rude to them, they're rude right back. They are totally driven by feelings and circumstances. A proactive person, though, they carry their own weather.
Ooh, I like that.
They recognize that between the stimulus, whatever happens to you, and your response, there is a space, a gap.
The pause.
The pause. A reactive person just leaps right over that gap. It's stimulus response instant. Proactive people live in that gap. They pause, they reflect, and they ask, what response aligns with the person I want to be?
Not just, what do I feel like doing?
Exactly.
And Dr. Elisa brings in Stephen Covey here with his whole breakdown of the word responsibility.
Yeah, it's a classic Coveyism, but it works so well. Responsibility. It's literally the ability to choose your response.
And that shift is huge because usually responsibility just feels heavy. Like, ugh, I have so many responsibilities. It feels like a burden.
Like a weight, yeah. But if you reframe it as the ability to respond, it stops being a burden and it becomes a superpower. It becomes freedom. If you admit you're responsible, you're also admitting you have power.
But wait, I want to push on this a little. Is there a danger here of, ignoring real systemic issues? If someone is in a genuinely tough situation, poverty, bias, a toxic job, is telling them to just be proactive a bit, tone deaf.
That is a crucial distinction, and I'm glad you brought it up. Being proactive does not mean you control the circumstances. You cannot proactive your way out of a traffic jam.
Or a systemic injustice.
Not instantly, no. But, and this is what Viktor Frankl taught from his experience in the concentration camps, you always control your attitude, your inner response.
So it's about retaining your own dignity and agency, no matter how small that space is.
Precisely. It's refusing to let the outside world dictate your inside world. And that leads us right to the next concept, which is about where we believe that power comes from.
Locus of control.
The locus of control.
I remember this from Psych 101, but give me the refresher. Internal versus external, right?
Yep, it's a continuum. On one end, you have an external locus of control. These are people who believe their lives are run by luck, fate, powerful people.
The why does this always happen to me crowd.
That's the one. The example from the text is a student who fails a test and says, the teacher hates me, so they gave me a bad grade.
Which is a great defense mechanism, to be fair. It protects the ego. I didn't fail, the world failed me.
It's very protective, but it's also completely paralyzing. Because if the teacher is the problem, you can't fix it. You just have to wait for them to change.
Good luck with that.
Right. On the other side, you have the internal locus of control. This is the belief that your outcomes are mainly the result of your own actions.
So that student says, I failed because I didn't study enough.
Exactly. And that hurts more.
So I was going to say, it feels worse in the moment. You have to admit, I messed this up. Why would anyone choose that?
It stings. It definitely stings at first. But the payoff is immense. The research that Dr. Elisa cites is overwhelming here. People with an internal locus of control, they do better in school, they cope better with stress, and they report much higher life satisfaction.
Because they're not helpless?
Precisely. If I believe I messed up, I also believe I can fix it next time. If I believe the universe messed up, well, I'm just a passenger.
Okay, so we need to grab the wheel. Internal locus. But here's where I think a lot of us get stuck. I can understand intellectually that I should take control. But what if, deep down, I just don't believe I have the skills to actually drive?
And that is the crucial difference between locus of control and self-efficacy.
Define that split for me. They sound really similar.
Locus of control is about causality. Who's driving? Self-efficacy is about capability. Do I even know how to drive this thing?
Got it. And Dr. Elisa uses Albert Bandura's definition here.
Yes, Bandura is the godfather of this idea. He defines self-efficacy as the belief that you can produce a desired outcome through your own actions.
It's not self-esteem. It's not, I'm a good person.
No, it's, I can do this specific thing.
Yeah.
You could have high self-esteem, I'm a great guy, but have really low self-efficacy about, say, fixing a leaky faucet.
Guilty.
And the most critical point the source makes is that we are not born with this. It's not a trait. It is learned.
Which means it can be built.
It can be built. And the lecture gives us 4 specific ways to do it. The first one is the most obvious one. Past successes.
The small wins strategy.
Right. Nothing convinces your brain you can do something like actually doing it. You want to run a marathon? Just focus on running 1 mile today. Bank that success. You've just made a deposit of self-efficacy.
Okay, what's number 2?
Observing others. It's called vicarious experience. If I see someone who I think is like me,
Same background, similar skills.
yeah, and I see them succeed at something, my brain starts to go, hey, if they can do it, maybe I can do it too.
This is why representation is so important. If you never see anyone who looks like you in a certain role, it's just harder to believe you can get there.
It's a huge factor. The third way is verbal persuasion. This is just encouragement from people you trust.
Having a credible hype man,
Yeah.
not just your mom telling you you're special.
A credible hype man. I love that. And the fourth is visualization. But, and I want to be really clear, this is not just daydreaming about winning. So not just imagining yourself crossing the finish line in slow motion. No, that can actually backfire. The research shows you need to visualize the process. Visualize the hard parts. Visualize hitting a wall and then figuring out how to get over it.
So it's less like The Secret and more like a flight simulator for your brain.
Perfect analogy. That's exactly what it is.
So if we're building this thing, we have the foundation soft determinism, the decision to act proactivity, the belief we're in charge, internal locus, and the belief we're capable. Self-efficacy. It feels like a really strong structure. But I feel like there's a saboteur in the building.
There always is.
Enter irrational self-talk.
This is that running commentary in your head all day long. And Dr. Leisha points to the work of psychologists Albert Ellis and Aaron Beck. Their core insight was, well, it's life-changing. Emotional distress doesn't come from events themselves.
It comes from our interpretation of the events.
Yes. So your boss didn't make you angry. Your story about what your boss did or said is what made you angry.
Right. If they don't say hi in the hall, the event is just silence. But my self-talk says, he's ignoring me, I'm getting fired, and suddenly I'm in a total panic.
Exactly. And the lecture points out a couple of these specific thought traps. The first one is catastrophizing.
Which is pretty much what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Taking a small negative thing and spinning it out into the worst possible disaster.
I messed up one slide in that presentation, so I won't get the promotion, so I'll get fired, I'll lose my house, and I'll die alone.
We laugh. But at 2 a.m., that logic feels airtight.
It feels incredibly real. The other big trap they mention is absolute thinking.
The musts and the shoulds.
Yes, I must be perfect. People should always be fair. I never get a break.
Those words, always, never, must. They leave zero room for being human. They're just setting you up for failure.
They create this rigid frame that just shatters the second reality bumps into it. So the fix for this is something called cognitive restructuring.
That sounds intense, like brain surgery. Is it just telling yourself happy thoughts?
Not at all. It's not positive thinking. It's accurate thinking. It's basically a 3-step reality check. Step 1, identify the irrational thought. Just catch yourself saying, I'm a total failure.
Okay, step 2.
Challenge it.
Yeah.
Is that actually factually true? Am I a total failure? No. Wait, I'm good at my job. I have good friends. I made a great dinner last night. You look for the counter evidence.
And step 3.
Replace it. Swap, I'm a total failure, for something accurate, like I fail at this one task, but I can learn from it for next time. You take the emotional poison out, but you keep the lesson.
It's like you're being the defense attorney in your own mind, objecting to your own prosecution.
That's a great way of putting it. You're cross-examining your inner critic.
And this leads to the final piece of the puzzle, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you do all of this, if you restructure your thoughts, take responsibility, build your efficacy, you start to develop a certain worldview. You become an optimist.
But we have to be so careful with that word.
Yeah, optimism gets a bad rap. It sounds like good vibes only, just ignoring problems.
Toxic positivity, right? But denying reality is delusion, not optimism. True optimism, as Dr. Elisa defines it, is a realistic, flexible way of interpreting setbacks. It all comes down to what's called your explanatory style.
How you explain to yourself why bad things happen.
Exactly. And a pessimist sees a problem as permanent and universal. I failed this test because I am stupid, and it means I'm going to fail everything else forever.
Wow.
An optimist sees that same problem as temporary and specific. I failed this one test this time because I didn't use the right study method.
That is a world of difference. One is a death sentence, the other is a solvable problem.
And here is the wow stat from the chapter that actually made me put my notes down for a second.
Hit me.
Optimism has been shown to be a better predictor of college success than SAT scores or high school GPA.
Wait, hold on. Better than SATs. How you explain failure matters more than, like, raw intelligence.
Think about it. College is hard. Life is hard. It's full of setbacks. If you have a high IQ but a pessimistic style, the first time you get a C-, you crumble. You tell yourself, see, I knew it, I'm an imposter, and you quit.
Whereas the optimist gets the C- and thinks, Well, that sucked. Okay, what do I need to do differently for the next one?
And keep going. That resilience, that's what's worth more than the raw talent.
This connects right to that famous failures visual from the source material. Michael Jordan getting cut from his high school team, Oprah getting fired from her first TV job.
Can you imagine if Michael Jordan had a pessimistic, explanatory style? He gets cut, he thinks, well, I guess I'm just not a basketball player, and he quits. Game over.
He became Michael Jordan because he saw that failure as temporary and fixable. He just went to the gym.
He went to the gym.
So let's just look at the whole toolkit we've built here. It's a really complete system.
It is. We started with soft determinism, accepting the hand you're dealt, but knowing you get to play the cards.
Then proactivity, using that responsibility to choose your actions based on values, not just feelings.
We grab the wheel with an internal locus of control.
We fueled the engine with self-efficacy, the belief that we actually can drive.
We learn to spot the saboteur, irrational self-talk, and fight back with cognitive restructuring.
And all of that lets us see the journey through the lens of optimism, where a pothole is just a pothole, not the end of the road.
That is a really comprehensive architecture for a resilient person.
And Dr. Alicia leaves his students with a final challenge, and I want to extend that to everyone listening.
The question is this: what is one choice you can make this week that reflects greater proactivity, self-efficacy, or optimism?
Just one thing. It doesn't have to be, quitting your job and moving to another country.
Please don't do that based on this deep dive.
Right. It could be really small. It could be catching yourself saying, I have to do this, and changing it to, I choose to do this.
Or just staring at that one difficult email you've been avoiding, taking a breath and thinking, I have the efficacy to handle this, and then just hitting send.
It's the small bricks that build the whole thing.
Yeah.
I want to leave everyone with one final thought. It's about that pause we talked about.
The gap between stimulus and response.
We move so fast. We react to everything instantly. We're almost afraid of the silence. But that gap, that's the only place our freedom actually exists.
It's where we get to be the author, not just the character.
So if you didn't use that gap today, that's okay. That's a temporary setback. But tomorrow, just try to find it once. Stop, breathe, and then choose.
Because that's the choice that defines who you're becoming.
Thanks for diving in with us.
Always a pleasure.